Your grandparents bought a house on a single income. Your parents maybe struggled a bit, but figured it out. You have a degree, a job, a side hustle, and a budget spreadsheet that would make a CFO weep. And you're Googling whether rice and beans every day counts as a balanced diet. The economy is growing. GDP is up, and the stock market has been hitting all-time highs recently. Productivity has never been higher before. And yet, somehow, you can't afford a one-bedroom apartment and a car at the same time. Welcome to the silent depression. It's not in the official numbers, it's not on CNBC, and even if it was on CNBC, you wouldn't know because you have no time to watch anyway. Okay, so silent depression is a term that has been floating around social media for a couple of years now. And before you say it, yes, I know, social media is where all nuance goes to die. But this one actually has something to it. The basic argument is this: by a lot of traditional economic measures, things are fine. Good, even. GDP is growing, unemployment is relatively low, and inflation has somewhat cooled off. But if you ask actual people, not economists, not investors, just regular people, how they're doing, they will describe a waking nightmare. Rent is insane, groceries are insane, childcare, if you're brave enough to have kids anyways, is absolutely insane. And wages? Relative wages feel like they're decreasing instead of increasing for most people. Meanwhile, Meta is offering $100 million signing bonuses for AI developers who try to replace your job with machines. So this video is about that gap. The gap between the economy is doing great and I am not doing great. We're gonna look at what's actually happening, why the numbers lie, or at least why they're not telling the whole truth, and why your parents think that you're just bad with money. Spoiler, you're probably not just bad with money, but the money is also just bad. So let's start with the big one, productivity. If you've taken even one econ class, you've heard the theory. When workers become more productive, they produce more value, and that value gets shared. Then wages go up and everyone wins. Beautiful, elegant, and completely disconnected from reality. Here's what has actually happened. Since about 1980, productivity in the US has gone up by over 80%. Output per hour worked, way up. We are producing more stuff more efficiently than at any point in human history, of course. And wages? For the median worker, adjusted for inflation, you're looking at maybe 25 to 30% growth. Basically flat compared to that productivity line. Over more than 4 decades. So who gets the rest? Where did that other 45+% go? I'll give you one guess. The gains from productivity went overwhelmingly to capital owners, shareholders, executives, people who own the machines, not the people who operate them. And this is no secret, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's in the data. The Federal Reserve tracks this. Economists have written thousands of papers on it. It's just that nobody talks about it on the evening news because, I don't know, it's kind of a bummer.
This is the worst!
And look, this isn't about vilifying rich people or whatever. Some of those productivity gains came from technology, from software, from machines that cost money to build. Capital, of course, has a legitimate claim to some of these returns, but like all of them, for 40 years, that's not economics, that's just daylight robbery, right? And here's the part that really stings. You're not just benefiting from the productivity gains, you're creating them. Every time you answer an email at 10 p.m., productivity. Every time you learn a new software tool so you can do 3 jobs instead of 1, productivity. And each time you skip lunch to hit a deadline, productivity. And all that value, it goes up into the spreadsheet and then into someone else's portfolio. Okay, but wages aren't everything, right? Maybe wages are flat, but stuff got cheaper. Because you know, technology, efficiency, globalization. Yeah, about that. Some things got cheaper. TVs, clothes, electronics. You can buy a massive flat screen TV now for like $300. In 1990 that would have cost you several $1,000s. Well, that's just great, right? But unfortunately, you cannot live inside of a television. The things that actually determine whether you can have a normal life, housing, healthcare, education and childcare, those have exploded. Housing costs have outpaced wages for decades. Healthcare costs are genuinely unpredictable. One bad diagnosis and you're negotiating with your insurance company like you got taken hostage. And college tuition, the sticker price is up something like 1200% since 1980. 1200%. for the privilege of maybe getting a job that requires a degree. So when someone says, the economy is fine, people just want to complain, what they're actually saying is, I am looking at a different economy than you are. They're looking at, for example, GDP, which includes all the money being made, also from the billionaires. They're looking at the stock market, which is mostly owned by the top 10%. The numbers are fine. The numbers are always fine. When I was your age, I walked into a company, asked for the manager, gave him a firm handshake, and I was hired on the spot. Cool. That company now has an automated applicant tracking system that will reject your resume because you used the wrong font. And if you're having trouble with finances, older people often say, you just need to save more. Bruh. Save what? After rent takes 40% of your income, and groceries take another chunk, and your student loan takes another chunk, and God forbid you need to go to the doctor or your car breaks down, what, are you supposed to save the vibes? Put the vibes in a high-yield savings account? And look, I'm not saying older generations had it easy. They didn't. The specific advice you're giving is calibrated to an economy that no longer exists. It's like giving someone directions to a building that was demolished in 1997. Turn left at the Blockbuster. And then the handshake thing, the walk in and ask for a job thing. That worked in an economy where companies were growing, where labor was scarce, where showing up and being willing to work was enough. And now you need a degree, 3 years of experience for an entry-level job, 17 software skills and a personal brand. You need to be a product. A firm handshake is not a product. So why does any of this matter? Why call it depression if the number says we're fine? Because depression isn't just an economic term, it's a psychological one. And right now, an entire generation is walking around feeling like failures, because the economy is gaslighting them. You work hard, you do everything right, or at least everything you were told was right, and you're still barely making it. But the TV shows the economy is great. Your parents say you should be fine, and LinkedIn says everyone else is thriving. So you conclude, it must be me, I must be the problem. But to be clear, it's not you. The game has changed, the rules changed. The silent depression is silent because it doesn't show up in the metrics that people in power pay attention to. GDP doesn't measure how many people are one emergency away from financial ruin. The stock market doesn't track how many 30-year-olds have given up on ever owning a home. Unemployment stats don't count the despair. And so the silence continues. The economy is fine. You are fine. Everything is fine. So what do you do with this? I'm not going to give you a 5-step plan to beat the silent depression because that would be deranged. Just build passive income streams. But here's what I do think is useful. First, stop blaming yourself. If you're struggling, it's not because you're lazy or stupid or bad with money. You're operating in a system that has been siphoning value away from workers for 40 years. That's not an excuse, it's just a fact. Second, be suspicious of metrics. When someone tells you the economy is doing well, ask, well, for whom? GDP, the stock market, unemployment rates, these are useful tools, but they are not showing the whole picture. Third, don't take advice from people who haven't had to job hunt since the internet was invented. And don't try to make them understand, because they won't. And finally, know that you're not alone. The silence is breaking. People are talking about this on social media, in group chats, in podcasts, in deeply chaotic YouTube videos. The more we name it, the harder it is to ignore. So that's the silent depression for you. Subscribe if you want more videos about why everything is broken but explained in a fun way, because that's the brand now, I guess.